So the recording will begin in anytime soon. So Adeshina is a brilliant software engineer and a recognized leader in Africa's fintech and capital market sector. So his career is defined by building scalable, secure, and impactful financial systems that solve real-world challenges. He led the development of Greenpole at Africa Prudential, an enterprise capital markets platform still in use today, processing billions monthly. He also architected a multi-channel payment gateway at WAYA Multi-Links that handled millions of transactions. So currently, he is a backend engineer at Number, and at Number, he's at the forefront of innovation, building products like Number QR and multi-account banking solution that has fueled significant customer acquisition and transaction growth. So this leadership foundation was established in his early career, where he empowered his peers as a university software director. So Adeshina is also an award-winning professional and is driven by using technology to create lasting value and enhance financial accessibility. So join me in welcoming Adeshina Lasisi to the stage. Yeah, thank you. So you can share your screen, Adeshina. I'm just going to start.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's such a great one to be here. I must say, to see everyone join the call. Let me just put on my camera on so that you can see my face. All right, hi everyone. Thank you, Mustafa, for the wonderful introduction. I must say that was a brilliant one. All right, so today, like Mustafa said, so I'm taking us through the journey of how, as a software engineer, I've been able to, be a part of a team that's built an excellent solution, right? And it's such a joy to me to share that experience. And I hope that every one of us here can pick one or two experiences. If maybe you're a startup or person, or you're just getting into the fintech space, you get to learn from my own experience and how that has been done. So let's start. I've been sharing my screen. Okay, so I'm just going to share this. Should I share this guy? Yeah. All right. So just let me know if you can see my screen now, if that's fine with you. Okay. All right. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So let us begin. Just a moment. Let me adjust this thing. Okay. So let us begin. Yeah. So today I'll be taking us through how we built a fintech app that moved thousands of dollars daily. So this is just beyond. It's beyond an app. So let's see beyond like the app you have in your hand, that fintech app you have on your hand that does a lot of magical things, right? So yeah. So I'm Adeshina Lasisi. So I'm a senior backend engineer at Number, where I build a managed solution. Yeah. So I had a number of experience building mostly things that concern money. I don't know why I just choose to build something that concerns money. Maybe just my passion that drove me there. All right. So let's continue. So today I'll be taking us through this, and I hope we all enjoy the session. Okay, so so building a fintech, building a fintech app or a system is beyond just making money, or is beyond just making revenue, or beyond just making the app work for some set of numbers of users. It is beyond that. You need to look at the larger scale, and the system you are building has to be very, very secure. It's very, very important, because what is a system without security, right? So I'll be taking us through all that. So the overview of this session will be build a fintech app that securely processes thousands of dollars in transactions in every day. Requires more than great code. It requires more than that. It requires more than writing a code that just works in production or works for everyone. It takes vision, precision, and an ecosystem designed for scale. Understand? So it takes a lot of that, because you just don't want to build a solution that just works, but in the background you're losing money. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, so I'll just be giving us how we made that happen with the team I work with. So like I said, it takes vision, right? It takes vision, and it takes precision, right? It takes precision also. So let's continue. All right. So before you actually build an app or build a system, you need to be aware of you need to discover the product first. You need to discover, if I want to build a fintech app, there's a lot of categories of fintech app that we have today. If you talk about the likes of MoneyPoint, they started from building a small scale app application for people, and then they scale to becoming a company that builds financial application. I mean, they own it, right? So they started from somewhere. So first thing you need to do is, I mean, you need to discover the product you need to build. And you need to understand that, I mean, would that product really work in the market? I mean, there's a whole lot of fintech solution out there. There's a whole lot of fintech solution out there. You need to ask yourself, like, if I'm going to build this, if I'm going to build this fintech app, will it be something that people will accept? I mean, will it be that? I mean, will it just be something that just, I mean, stay in the market for like 1 to 2 years and then it's done? You want to look at the long-term goal. You want to look at the long-term goal. So for me to be sure that we are part of this session, just I mean, click on any emoji of your choice to be sure that we're all here. Awesome. I can see everyone is here. All right, so awesome. So like I said, product discovery, very, very important. You need to discover the product you want to build. I mean, you need to discover that, and you need to also think about the product you're building, will it be an innovative product? I mean, that will really sell faster when you think about it. I mean, product discovery, and it has to be an innovation. I mean, that has to be something new. I mean, so let's move to the next one. Okay, so let me do a slideshow. I think that would be better. All right. Does that make sense now? Oh, awesome. So let me just drag this guy down. Let me drag this guy down here. All right. So I guess after that, so you need to find a specific problem in a domain. Like, so let me take us through one of the examples. So let's say I'm just going to use a QR innovation. Right. So I mean, there's a lot of fintech companies we have today. I mean, they have different ways of using QR to, I mean, to build an innovative solution. If that is your choice, or okay, you want to build I'm just giving an example, right? You want to build a QR solution, and then this QR, you need to do this sort of things, you know. And you know, a lot of people, they like, most people don't really like using their banking card to process transaction. For me, I hate using bank card. I hate it. The reason why I hate using bank card is because I'm someone that is very security conscious. Like, I don't like taking my card anywhere to just, you know, try to use it to pay for something. I don't like using that. So if I have a solution that gives you the flexibility of, you can't see what is inside the card, it is just a card, and there's only one specific system that can, you know, process transaction with that card. I mean, that's an innovation, right? Yeah, so that's an innovation. So when you think about that, and then you find out, okay, this is a specific problem, like some people don't really like using their card. If I build this kind of solution, it will work, right? Like I said, find a specific problem in a domain. It's very, very important, right? So every great product begins with identifying a real problem. It's very, very important. You need to identify a real problem, right? I know this whole discussion is about how we build this system that processes $1,000 daily, but I have to take you through the journey of how we made that happen, which is very, very important, right? So every great product begins with identifying a real problem. Very important. And we started by focusing on pain points, right? For example, I gave my example of my own pain point. I don't like using my ATM card. I don't like it at all. So in a digital payments, delays, fragmented users experience, and complex transaction flow, and design solutions that truly matter to users. So like I said, the design solution has to truly matter to the user, not that you're designing something that won't really work. You need to think about it. Make feasibility study. Would this work? I mean, if it works fine, I mean, then you can start thinking of how to build that kind of system. So so we'll go to the next slide. So like I said, we need to build, I mean, we build something that really matters. We build something that really matters. So building something that really matters really helps us to, I mean, drive transactions, right? You need help us to drive transaction. So you can imagine we started, so let's say we started as a team, and then we are processing transactions. You can just come to the platform and just do transfer, let money in and let money out, like inflow and outflow, and then you can pay, process bills payment transaction. You're just doing, I mean, sorry, I have my marker here. I like writing. Sorry about that. So you're just doing like transfers, and you're doing like bills, right? So imagine you're doing that kind of true transaction type. Yeah, transaction might be coming in very well, quite all right. But when you want to think about the bigger picture, so you need to make sure that you build an additional thing that really matters, so that it can drive your transaction volume, right? So that's it. So you do something that matters. So rather than follow existing trends, like what people are, I mean, everybody's, like I said in the beginning of my session, everybody is building fintech app that does pay for bills, transfer, and that's all. I mean, there's something beyond that. There's something that, like I said in the beginning, something innovative that that will make some people curious about, oh, I mean, I just want to try this out. Let's see how it works. I mean, so when you build that, you are actually, you are acquiring users. I mean, you understand, you're acquiring users, which is very, very good. So we aim to pioneer, unique solution. Pioneer unique solution was part of our, that drives a lot of transaction system in digital finance, rethinking how people send, receive, and manage money with seamless experiences. So I gave an example of two types of transaction type. And then I'm just going to give an instance. So we're processing transaction. Let's say, I've worked with a lot of fintech companies, WAYA and Africa Prudential, and a whole lot of them that I've worked with, right? Even MTN and Airtel, we did a lot of fintech product there also. So, like I said, doing two transactions, and when we introduced a third product, this actually drive transaction in billions. Right, if you convert it in, overall in total. So if you can convert that overall in total, like in both in dollars, was about more than a couple of millions, and both in naira, billions. And how did we get to do that? Because we didn't just say we just want to focus on building. Focus on using what we have, transfer and then bills. That really didn't drive a lot of transactions. We made sure that we push beyond the boundary of just containing ourselves in those two type of transaction type. When we introduced the third one, transaction scale up, huge one, scaled up, which is very, very good, right? So, so let's just continue. Yeah. The other thing we also focus on, like I was saying, so when you have some couple of products already, what you want to think about is adding more product. Like I said before, adding more product, which means you're going to add more products to your set of product, because one thing, like they say, a tree does not make a forest, right? So if you want to make a forest, there have to be many trees. So so I just want to say again, if you're in this session, just let me have your emoji so that I'm not talking to myself. Okay. Very, very important, actually. All right, awesome. So that a tree doesn't make a forest. You need to, not just one product, not just, if you're a startup person, you just don't want to have, like I said, transfer. You just don't want to have one product and that's everything. So if you're going to take some fintech companies, I don't want to mention name, so I don't start promoting anybody. So they started with fintech A started with just you're going to send your tag to them and they're going to send you money, and that's what they were just doing. I'm very sure why they can drive some volume of transaction with that. The volume of transaction will not be compared to someone that has a lot of products. You have a lot of products and you're building more to leverage on the other ones, right? So you need to leverage. So what leverage here means is, like I said, you have 2-3 products and then you want to build another one. The third one, the fourth one you're building is not just because you want to build something new that everybody will be like, oh, these people are doing something new. No, you are building something that will drive customers, because when you want to think about processing transaction of a larger volume, you need to consider customers. Consider users, because what is a system without users? The users will drive that, transaction. So when you're building the fourth product, you are helping yourself with customer acquisition, because customers want to know what is the new thing you're building, or they'll be interested in to come to your app, because when they come to your app, that will drive more transaction volume, which is very, very good. So let's continue. So keeping in mind that the goal is to process a larger volume of transaction, right? A single product alone cannot achieve this. Like I said, a tree doesn't make a forest. A tree never makes a forest, right? So by connecting and integrating with other existing products that you have, because every single day as a business, as a company or as a business, your goal is more money or more transaction. You don't want to have, okay, you're processing 2 million transactions today and the next day you want to process 2 million. You want to grow bigger. You want to process more and more transaction. And how do you do that? You need to, like I said, a single product cannot do that. You need to find something new and leverage another product that you have, right? So by connecting and integrating with other existing products in our ecosystem, in our team, the system can handle higher transaction volume more efficiently, allowing the product to deliver greater overall value to people. So let's continue. Okay, so each product we build is technically regionalized. So why am I saying this? So, you don't want to build something that's, it's fine. It's actually very fine to start with something, to start within your locality. To start within a region, right? You want to start, for example, let's take Nigeria. I don't know what country you're connecting So let's start with Nigeria, and then you are building a product in Nigeria, an app in Nigeria that's, I mean, it's a fintech app, and then why? Maybe you're having larger volume of transaction at that time, but like I said, as a business person, you want to expand more and you want to have more volume of transaction. So you need to think outside the container. I mean, think outside the box, and then think about regionalizing your service, right? Regionalize your service. So I can say so. One of the products I built sort of like give us one of our first ever regionalization. I mean, so we scaled to other regions aside from Nigeria, right? So how do we do that? Because we find something new, we find something that, like I said, you need to find the product and find people's pain, right? So the region that the product was deployed to, I mean, it was from Nigeria, then we scaled to another region. So you need to find people's pain, right? The region that we deployed to. So a lot of them don't really have financial access, like they don't really have access to money. I mean, even though I mean, banking system was very bad, I mean, not really good. So that was a great pain. So what we did is we find that pain, and we decided to key into it, and then build something that can, you know, help us grow as a business, and also giving value to, I mean, to our end users. And after doing that, transaction scale, I mean, larger volume of transactions that are coming in also. Like I said, you don't want to stay in one place of delivering 1 million transactions every day. You want to scale higher. So by doing that, that helps us to attract a lot of money to the system, revenue-wise and all. So that helps us to attract a lot of money to the system. So regionalizing is very, very key. So like I said, we did a product that gave us the first ever opportunity to have our service in different regions aside from Nigeria, which is very, very good. I mean, you can imagine that. So as a business person, you'll be very, very happy to have your business across the world, not just once in a single place, because you want to go global as time permits, right? So that's it, right? So like I said, so we design and adapt to every product for specific markets, right? So like I said, we find the pain points, and then we decide to key into it, currencies and regulatory environment. So now when we talk about currencies, like I said, you don't want to build only on, okay, I just want to do NGN for now. I mean, I'm fine with that. No, I mean, you have investors, right? You have investors that are I mean, giving you investment, and then they want return on investment, right? So you don't want to just localize in one single area. You want larger volume of transaction. You want money to come to the system. You need to think about being global, right? So we talked about that, and then we have several currencies. So you cannot just process transaction just Naira and that's all. So multi-currency was part of it. So multi-currency, which is very, very good. So multi-currency and regulatory environment, ensuring global scalability while maintaining local relevance. So while you want to scale higher to other region, you still want to keep your dominance in your locality, right? On your region, the region you scaled from, right? Which is very, very important. So the app also supports multiple regions, allowing users to operate seamlessly across different markets. All right, so I just want to say something else again. If you know this is, I mean, we are enjoying this session. Let me see emojis again. I mean, I just want to know everybody. Sorry. If you're enjoying this session, let me see your emojis. Awesome, amazing. So I think we are all connected, right? So let's continue. So now back to this. So system architecture and engineering discipline. So this is very, very important, because for every system you build, right? For every system you build, you want to make sure that the system has some system architecture in place, right? And some engineering principles in place, right? I'm someone that likes saying this. I mean, in my day-to-day activity, I mean, every single piece of code I write, I have to have reasons for writing them. I have to have reasons for building them. I have to have reasons for choosing this kind of tool, right? So there are some principles I follow. I mean, there are some reasons I want to do this and do that. So in this subsection, I'll take us through. I'll be talking about how we build some system architecture and some engineering principles we apply. Here we'll be seeing the tools that I use in my team, and to make sure this is possible, right? So architecture before building. So I'm going to give an example of one of our systems that is doing fantastically well, right? So now this system, initially it was designed, it was a mobile app, both the Android and the iOS, and yeah, it was doing fine, but we wanted to scale bigger. And then if you want to have like larger volume of transaction, you need to make sure that the architecture of the system is at the top. I mean, it's at the top. right? The engineering of the system is at the top. I mean, because you don't want to build a system that's will lag. I mean, will lag and you have slow transaction response or slow transaction processing. You don't want to have that. So what we did is we re-engineered the whole system. And I was actually opportune to be one of the engineers that built that, which is I'm very super excited about doing that. I mean, it wasn't an easy journey. It was actually a very tough journey on building that. So we re-engineered the whole system, and then so we wanted to have like how do I put it? We wanted to have like a new way of how customers on board, because customers now, they are very, very keen on how the UI looks and how everything works and how you click and how the system is back and works and everything, right? So as a software engineer, right? So I thought about it. I'm like, what are we going to use to build this? And I would like to use a tool that it was at that scale. At that scale, it was like the one of the time I've really used it at that scale. And I thought about, okay, let me use this. Let me use gRPC. I mean, you could have thought about it. I mean, a lot of fintech now, they build most of our products on just REST APIs and all. And I mean, I don't want to go into detail between REST and gRPC. Well, I'm just giving an example. I mean, the reason why I choose those two and architecting before. So after we designed, we did a lot of stuff and the flow, the architectural diagrams, the components of the system and all. So we decided to use gRPC. The reason why we used gRPC was because we needed speed. We needed something that can really, bind both the front-end person, that maybe the mobile person or the web, and the back-end person, right? You don't want to build a product whereby you write something from the back-end and then you change maybe a structure of DTO, that's data transfer object. So you change the structure of a DTO, and then the person connecting to you, which is your client or the mobile person, does not know about it. And that can break the app. Remember, an app that processes a lot of transactions, you don't want anything to go wrong in the production, which means you have to have singularity within the front-end person and the back-end person, right? So you need to make sure everything connects and nothing breaks. So that was the reason why I chose to use that guy, use gRPC. So that really works for us, which means wherever I make an update, the client is always aware of, okay, you've made a change. I need to adjust so that nothing will break. And it's sort of like allow us to have this contract, right? Which is very, very good. So that's just the whole detail of all that. Anyways, so like I said, so architecting before building. So we architect before we build. And then every product starts with system design. Like we all know, a lot of us have experience of how system design works, design system, and you see, overview before jumping to write code. So in a high concurrent environment system, or in a system whereby a lot of transactions can come in, you don't want to have a system you just write code and then you push, no design, nothing. I don't think you are ready. So if you want to be ready for that, you need to design your system. Designing your system is very, very part of it. Very, very key. So design system is part of it, and we carefully plan data flow. Like I said, carefully plan data flow. We have it. When all those things, all those design and system design is about to happen, we have a team. So we set up a call to discuss. Okay, we can have these components. We can have this. Design it, the flow. Whether I want to have a load balancer here, whether I want to use this or that. There's a lot of stuff, and security also be put in place. The architecture will be drawn and everything. So, like I said, load balancer, we want to have our load distribution and all, and the component communication before coding to ensure scalability and maintainability. Remember when I was saying before, I said the mobile person and the backend person are connected with the contract. So if I break the contract, the mobile person will be aware. Even before I even go to production, they'll be aware because everything is connected. So you don't want to break anything that will cause financial failure in production, right? So you still want to keep the momentum of having larger volume of transactions coming in without any stress or without any problem. So which is very, very important. All right, so let's move to the next one. Okay, product engineering and code management. Before I talk about this, I think someone said something. Okay, so okay, someone dropped that. Okay, no problem. I will take a look at this after this session. So let's continue. All right. So you can be dropping your questions. I will just take a look at it. Right. So product engineering and code management is very, very important. Like I said, I've already talked about it in the architectural part. So you need to when you have the product, you need to engineer how the product will be and every part of the system that will communicate with that product. So let's take it like this. before I was talking about the mobile side, and then back end. Sorry, I have marker. I like writing actually. So and then when you are building such product, you don't want to. I mean, because the longer goal is the longer goal is you want to make sure that this system that you're building in the future, larger volume of transactions can come from anywhere, not just from the mobile app. So thinking beyond the mobile app. So as an engineer, I don't just think I'm building for just my mobile person to use. Nah, I don't do that, right? I don't do that. I build beyond that, right? I'm building because I want everybody to connect, right? Whether it's from the web or whether it's from your API or whether it's from the app. I mean, everybody to connect. So product engineering is very important. So designing this, so we're going to have like many components. So these components will be like clients, right? Because you want a lot of transactions to come in from different place or different channel. So you just don't want to have it on just the mobile, like just the mobile. So we as a team, we didn't really think about building something that just come from the mobile app and that's all. So we think beyond that. We want to build something that comes across every other channel, whether it's from the POS terminal, whether it's coming from the app, whether it's coming from the web, or whether it's coming from API, right, or coming from our partner, right? So we build something that, as a backend person, we build something that everybody can use, right? Everybody can connect with, right? So, and every tool we choose, we have it in mind that this product is not just used, it won't be just used by us, right? A lot of people will also use it, right? So that's the product engineering. So engineering products such that you have you are considering a lot of partners that will connect to you, a lot of kind that will connect to you. Also driving the revenue growth of your company, right? So, and code management, right? So for the code management part, like I said, I was talking about the contract that gRPC gives you, right? It gives you like a message structure that if I break or you break, both of us will have a problem. We have to fix it right before we go to production, which is very, very good. Unlike when you have like REST API, and REST API you just have JSON, right? If I break anything in JSON, the mobile person might not be aware, right? But the only way the mobile person can be aware, maybe if you have, let's say, like end-to-end testing, which is very, very also important. So end-to-end testing, and how do we make this possible? So I'm just going to share that now. Let me track this down here. So we maintain strong discipline in version control. This is where I'm going to now, and code reviews, which is very, very important because you don't want to push something to production that it is not reviewed. And also we review a lot of code. A review is very, very key to all the systems. Review is very, very key, and ensuring consistent quality and stable deployment, right? And most of our code bases, right, are organized in a monorepo structure. Not all, but I've started. Most of the teams I work with, so we deal with monorepo, and I'm going to tell us the importance of monorepo, right, which promotes better collaboration. Remember, I was talking about collaboration using a tool. A tech tool called gRPC, right? So it has better collaboration, right? Consistent standards across team and simplified dependency management and faster and more reliable deployment. Now, when you have, let's say, like I said, so you are thinking about this product will be connected by many clients, not just the mobile person. And then you would like to have like the web person, maybe you have a web platform that also processes transactions, also connecting, and you have the POS transaction also connecting, right? So let's say you have there's all this code base in one single place, monorepo. So monorepo is all your code base that your infrastructure is running on. Everything that your infrastructure, your company is running on, they are in one single code base. So can I have an emoji again to be sure we are here? I don't want to be like I'm the only one talking. Anyway, so all your code infrastructure are in one code base, right? Which is very, very good. And if they're in one code base, if something breaks for Mr. A, maybe Mr. A is managing receipts system, and receipt system, someone is depending on one component from the receipt system, and Mr. A breaks that code. So Mr. B will be aware because both of you are sharing the same code base, right? Which is very, very good, and which has really helped our team to build such a system that processes that amount of money. So if anything breaks anywhere, you will be aware because everything is just in one single place, which means it is easy to maintain, right? It's easy to maintain than having So for those of us that know how GitHub works, right, or other repositories like GitHub, we have the GitLab and the rest of them, or Bitbucket. I think there's one called Bitbucket. All right, so and lot of them, right? So if you have multiple repositories, repository A, repository B for different services, well, this might be fine for you for a while, but when you think about the long-term journey or long-term goal that you want every team member, because you can have we have a lot of team members in the team. We have a lot of team members. About, let's say, 1,000, for example, 1,000 team members. And these team members, you need to make sure that they are all connected, they are all aware. If each team member is managing different code base, and then the service you are building, depending on the service, and if one thing breaks from that service, maybe I want to break from that service that I'm depending on, I might not be aware until I go to production. And how can you solve that? Like, if you use monorepo, which is fine, and maybe probably if you do an integration test even before going to production, but it would be very, very nice to have them in one single repo so that you can do integration tests for all of them, right? For all the services. So if one single change happens in one service, every service that is connected to that one service will run through an integration test, which is very, very nice. And it saves us a lot of stress in production, right? It saves us a lot of stress in production, which is very, very nice. So, so let's continue. All right. So, use the latest technology tool, like I said, for you to make sure that transactions are coming in very large volume, and there's no how do I put it? There's no bottleneck anywhere. I mean, everything is going on fine. We use some tools that really match it. So, I was having a discussion with someone, and I told the person I use this tool a lot, and the person was like, this tool, I don't know about it. I'm like, I mean, it's really very, very good. So, and it has really helped us to process that kind of transaction. So when I told the person the tool, I mean, for example, oh, very nice. I mean, a lot of mobile apps that we have in the market today don't really build using gRPC, or they build mostly on. I mean, I'm not saying REST API is bad. REST API is totally fine, but when it comes to about speed, you might need to consider. When it comes about end-to-end communication, maybe once one channel is open, I mean, the mobile can communicate to the back end. Once the channel is open, I mean, like streaming, not put that streaming. It's also possible in REST, right? But for gRPC, I was just like, okay, this is very, very fine. When I told the person about the tool, the person was very amazed that, oh, this tool exists. And I'm very sure the person will try to go and read about it. Meanwhile, the person has been built mostly a system on REST APIs, right? So using the latest technology actually helped us to process that kind of transaction with speed, right? It's actually helpful. So using latest technology is very, very key also. So we embrace modern frameworks, languages, and cloud infrastructure to optimize speed, scalability, developer productivity, and our system leverage on technology like gRPC, like I said, for efficient service communication, enabling high performance, low latency interaction across distributed services. All right, so let's continue. The other part is you want to take a look at is query. So as a backend engineer, right, it's very easy to frustrate users. Very easy to frustrate users when they're trying to perform a transaction. So let's say you want to send money to someone, and then you're waiting for a response of, maybe you enter the account number and you're waiting for a response to see, I mean, who the account number belongs to. And your system is taking time to load, right? Maybe the query, you are trying to fetch something and then it's taking time to load. Nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants that. So what we prioritize is query optimization. So having a system that has query optimized, I mean, that's very, very optimized, helps us, I mean, when it comes to processing transactions. I mean, query optimized, we are very, very keen at the query has to be very fast, within 2 milliseconds to 3 milliseconds, or at most, for example, this search I'm talking about, at most, let's say 10 milliseconds. Because you don't want to have a query that you're querying a system for like 1 minute, or 1 minute is too much, exaggerate that, for like 30 seconds and you're still querying. No users want to have that kind of, I mean, be on such kind of a platform. Meanwhile, you don't want to lose users. So very, very important. So query optimization is very key. All right, so now we move to security and compliance. I mean, so like I said, most of the things I've talked about, I'm talking about the architecture and everything. And what is a system without security? Is a no-no. What is a system without security? Because security is part of the things that drives the app, or part of it that drives the system. So we want to be sure that security is at the top level, right? You might be having larger volume of transaction, and then you are thinking, oh, you're making money, but meanwhile you're losing money if something is wrong somewhere, or if you have been hacked, right? So you want to make sure that the system is well protected. I mean, so that you don't have cases of reporting of fraud, and if there's fraud report and all of that, no users want to come to the platform to be transacting. If you agree with me, just let me see an emoji. I mean, if you agree with me on that. Awesome. Because no users want to come to your platform when they know that, they can be hacked, or their account might be hacked to perform transactions, right? No users want to come to that kind of platform, right? So every user that comes to the platform, number one, they know that they trust the platform. And how are we able to do that? We build that with security and a lot of compliance. I mean, there are some laws that, there's some compliance that we have to follow, the CBN rule, the PCI DSS, whatever thing, and a lot of compliance that we need to follow. I mean, so every user that comes to your system has to be aware, okay, I trust this system. I mean, if you are using an app, if you are using, let's say, number app, you are sure that, oh, you trust the system, that the system is working. Or if you're using GTB app, or you're using any kind of banking app, you trust it, that's why you're using it. So compliance has to be a part of it, and security has to be part of it. And that's what I'm going to be taking us through right here. Now, for security and security and distributed system. So platform is built using distributed architecture for high availability, fault isolation, and system resilience, and even driven of heavy traffic, right? So when we talk about security, right, like I said, every person that wants to come to your system has to be sure, okay, security is part of it, right? And then you have a system that can scale. Maybe for when you have larger volume of transaction, right? So when you have larger volume of transaction, and then if there's larger volume of transaction and you have a system that can't scale, it will be a problem, which means users will start complaining, oh, they'll even drop your app. They might even go to another app to go and transact, right? So for you to keep that momentum of larger volume of transaction coming in, right, we have to make sure that the system can scale with security and with distributed systems. So the system can scale. So we use something like Kubernetes to scale. I mean, have a lot of prods, and then so we have scaling conditions. Mostly scale horizontally. Scale horizontally for the services that are running. Scale horizontally. I mean, having more pods. So for those who don't know what pods mean, so pods are just smaller units of that exist in Kubernetes. So it contains your service running, right? It contains your service running, and you can have different form of them, right? So when you have about 2 pods, or you have about 2 services running, let's just say services. Let's not use pods. Services running. And these services, when it notes that, when it detects that there's larger heavy load of requests coming in, they scale horizontally. So horizontally means they multiply themselves, right? Maybe you have 2 before, you can have 4, and these 4 services you have, they have transactions that they have requests that are evenly distributed within them. So requests will be just distributed to all the services, so that users will not be complaining and transactions will keep on flowing in. Now, the other thing we also consider, remember, we were still talking about security and compliance, right? So we also talk about authentication, multiple choice for transaction and processing. So before I go into details of what I have here, so imagine you have a system, right? A system that's, like I said, for security, you are just, once they log in, they enter their password and they are in, right? And they want to do transaction. You just, ask them to just enter their PIN, right? And then the money will just go in. For some cases, we might not allow that. We ask you for second level of verification. If the transaction, if maybe the app you are, if the mobile device you are using, like let's say it's like the first time of you using that device, and you have a lot of devices that you have been using before, and I will notice that this is the first device you are using. We sort of like do like a check in the system that checks that, okay, we need to carry out a second level of verification if you are truly the person you say you are, right? So we do all of that. So we do that by using face verification, OTP, and then mostly OTP and face verification, right? Face verification, we need to be sure that this is your face, so that you don't camouflage that, oh, this is the person I am. I mean, we carry out this face verification, which is very, very important, and we use artificial intelligence to carry out most of these things, because we want to be sure that you're not faking the image or you're not faking the person's face. We want to be sure that this is the person that actually owns the account. And then, even though you pass through the face verification, you might send the OTP. Okay, you are the person you claim you are, right? No problem. Okay, what's your PIN? Before that kind of transaction comes in. And in this case, this usually comes when you are using maybe a device for the first time. So that's why we ask you all of this, and which is very, very good, right? So like I said, so we support multiple authentication methods, OTP, PIN, device binding. So device binding is once you verify a device before and you're coming in with another device, we need to confirm that this device belongs to you, right? I mean, this thing mostly happen in other fintech app, right? So if you log in on another device, I don't log in before, they will ask you to verify that device that you are truly the person or you are truly the owner of the account, so that you don't have a new device log into your bank account. You want to be, I mean, for security's sake, right? So device binding and biometrics. If like I said, not only face, we also use if it's a fingerprint, we also use that for those that don't have face. I mean, maybe the camera is not working and then you want to use your thumbprints. I mean, we also allow that in the system. I mean, which also helps us, right? Face verification provides an additional layer of security, preventing impersonation, like I said, and unauthorized access, right? So let's continue. Right. So we use cloud security to protect customer data, which is very, very important, right? So you might be wondering, why are we talking about security and all of this when we want to know how you build? I mean, it's all part of it. Like, the topic is we want to, I mean, see how we process transaction with an app that, I mean, we process thousands of dollars in transaction in a day with an app. All of these are connected. Like I said, a tree cannot make a forest, right? There has to be a lot of other trees. I mean, other trees are like supporting trees that makes forest, right? So these are things that we consider, right? That makes us, I mean, to be where we are today. So we use cloud security tools to protect customer data. So we rely on strong encryption, which is very important, very, very important. If you are dealing with a fintech app and then you don't use encryption, I mean, you're just sending information out. If it comes to your system, I mean, through it comes to your system, and you want to make another request on another third-party system, and you're just sending it out without encrypting. Even though the system you're calling is SSL secured, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you still need to protect it to another level of encryption, right? Which is very, very good, and which gives you confidence of there will be no data leaks, or there will be no data problem, or there will be no security breach, right? So we rely heavily on encryption. Now, I'll give an example. So let's say you want to transact with your card, I mean, the card that we issue to you, and then the card, you need to, I mean, maybe you go to your POS terminal, you slot in this card, and then the card is, you want to transact, enter your money, blah, 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 and the whole data is not just coming raw to us, right? The data is being encrypted, right? So if the data is being encrypted, which a lot of other fintechs does, I mean, that's the standard, right? So if the data comes in, right, you also need to be aware of this is how you're going to decrypt it, right? Which is very, very fine. So once you decrypt it, we're able to process your transaction. And the other thing we also consider is we make sure that, like I said, this is security section. We make sure that the data of our customers are protected by using even the tool that by using cloud tools that even me myself, I don't have an idea on how to decrypt it. I don't have an idea. So we actually call that mostly zero trust architecture. Zero trust architecture. If you hear what I just said, just type it on the comment box. Say zero trust architecture. I mean, if you hear what I said, just type it in the comment box. Zero trust architecture. And what zero trust architecture means is even you yourself don't trust yourself, and you don't trust any other person in the team. You don't trust. So that's like I said, that gives us more security. So, and nobody, even the CTO or the best engineering team member doesn't know. Very good. Zero trust architecture. Even the best engineering team member doesn't know what it is. So nobody knows it. You trust no one and you don't trust yourself, right? So that will further boost customer confidence. You understand? And which is very, very good, right? So let's continue. So we rely on strong encryption, access management, and continuous compliance framework to safeguard sensitive customer information. For example, for those of us that know about, let's say, HSM2. So HSM is called hardware security module. So hardware security module. So mostly I've used this hardware security module to protect customer data, right? So like I said, it's one of the things I use that even me myself, I don't know how to, I don't know how to go about it. I don't know what is there, right? So, but I'm not really sure if other fintech are doing this, maybe protecting their customer data like that. Some go by this way by just having the key, and then you encrypt that data and you still have the key with you. You still know the key, or maybe your DevOps team knows the key. You know, when we're thinking about building, for example, let's say card to perform transaction. Let's say the card wasn't existing before, and like I said, we wanted more volume of transaction. We want to grow, become a unicorn, right? You understand? You want to become a unicorn, you need to make sure that, there are a lot of things happening in your system, a lot of money coming in, revenue. That is what investors want. Revenue and all of that. We built another product called Card. And this other product that we built, I needed to make sure that nobody has access to this card. Nobody has access to that information. And then what I did is, what we did as a team, is consider a tool that even nobody in the team member can decrypt whatever is there. And one of it is HSM, which is hardware security module, which is very good. And that's one of the security tools we use actually. So let's continue. So I'm just going to make this fast so that we can I don't take our time. So reliability and performance, very key. So for reliability and performance, like we also use asynchronous processing. So we don't want to let's say you want to transfer, maybe make an international transfer. And most international transfer, for example, when we connect to a third party, they might take time, and we don't want you to wait and the stuff will be rolling and rolling till the money enter. Till the transaction is done. No, we don't want to do that. So we make sure that this the system can be the transaction can be processed in the background while we inform you later. So we use asynchronous processing, and the transaction engine is asynchronous, and thousands of concurrent requests without performance drops or blocking. Even though the system have issue, maybe there was a problem, there was a downtime. What we do is, we have a PubSub system, that's a publish subscribe system, that every of those transactions is being published, and if there's a problem, the system can come up and pick up those transactions, and everybody will be fine. And even if there was a problem in processing such transactions, they can be retried. So we implement retries and PubSub, right? So those two are very, very good, so that users cannot be like, okay, I transfer, the money has not gone out of my account, and the transaction is not successful. So you wouldn't want users to experience that, because you want them to come back again and make transaction, because that's the whole goal. Like, you want them to come back again and make another transaction so that it can drive more volume of transaction in the system. So we consider that too for scalability and high performance system. We consider both PubSub and retries a lot, right? So that the customers will not be complaining of, oh, I don't think I want to come back to this app again, because you don't want that, right? As a software engineer, right? We don't want that. And mostly, I think as a business person, not just as a software person, thinking as a customer has also helped us to build this kind of system. Because imagine that you yourself being a customer and there's a problem processing a transaction. Would you want to come back to the system again? No. You wouldn't want to do that anyways. All right, so let's continue. So like I said, I've talked about using events and ensure reliability. So we use an event-driven architecture that automatically retries and complete transaction when system recover from downtime. Okay. Yeah, so use AI to find critical bugs before they hit production. So now, before we push this kind of code, sometimes when you have reviewers, some of the your team members review, and they might not see critical problem in the code you have written. I'll be like, oh, looks good to me, approved. How many of us have how many of us have done that before? You are reviewing a PR and you say, this is okay, let's go to production, and a problem happens in production, and then they call you. You were the one that approved this PR. How come you didn't find this bug? If you have been in that situation before, just let me see your emoji. If you have been in that situation before, let me just see your emoji up. Oh, Mustafa, okay, is there nobody in that situation before? You approved the PR, a pull request, and then you said, this looks good to me, let's go to production. And a problem happened, right? And then they call you. You were the one that approved this PR. How come you didn't find this? And you'll be like, I think it was I didn't see that way. Of course, is it just two people? That have experienced this before? I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that. I don't want to be like just two people that have experienced this before. Anyways, so if you don't want that kind of problem to happen, right? I'm not saying fully that AI is, all sufficient, but it helps you to take a second look, right? It helps us to take like a second look. And when we use for example, there's one tool called CodeRabbit. Although it's not the only tool out there, but it's one of the two that makes sense. Makes sense a lot to me, because even this guy, whenever you make any change in the code, it will even draw some architectural flow for you to understand what has been changed, which is very, very good. CodeRabbit, an awesome tool. You can try it out. You can check it out actually. So now, if you don't want such situation to happen, the AI can help you check and see, okay, there might be a problem here. You need to fix it. And there has been a lot of time. There's been a lot of time. I've seen that too, really helpful, which is very, very good also. So AI-based observability helps detect anomalies and potential bugs early, reducing downtime and improving system stability. Like we said, our goal is we want to make money. We want to make money. And how do we make money? The system has to be stable. The system has to be stable without any error. Even though there's error, it has to be very small, right? Because how do you want to achieve processing larger volume of transaction with a system that's not stable? Is that possible? If you agree with me that it's possible to build a system that is not stable and that can perform high volume of transaction, do you agree with that statement? Does anybody agree? If you agree, just raise up your hand and maybe we'll have a special session together. If you agree with me, just comment in the comment box, like say you agree with me that it's okay to build a system that is not stable and it can still perform high volume of transaction. It's not possible. A system that's not stable is not possible. So which means nobody agrees. All good, right? So it's very, very important, right? So let's continue. So monitoring all systems. Point 16 is monitoring all system for first-hand issue reporting, which is very, very important. So we monitor every integrated services and dependency in real time, ensuring issues are detected and resolved before users are affected. Think about the system again. It's very, very important. So, you want to make sure that money keeps on flowing in. Users are using your app. Users are using your system. Nobody is complaining, oh, I'm just going to dump this app. I'm going to go to a partner. You don't want to do that. And how do we do this? We make sure that we have monitoring tools everywhere. Monitoring tools everywhere. If something happens, the developer that is responsible for that service will be notified so that they can quickly fix and then push to production. Monitoring tool, we consider that a lot in our team. A lot. Monitoring is very, very key. Because it shows us where we're having performance bottleneck. Yeah, it shows us where issues are coming, or it shows us when we have maybe higher volume of requests that can be, maybe there's someone is trying to attack us. It might be, so that you can easily see and you see within this number of days. There's a pattern. Data can give you an overview of how the system has been performing over time. And let's say your system is having I don't know whether it's sine wave or is it sine wave? So you're just having something like going like this, right? So transaction in each day, they don't pass this kind of level, right? This kind of threshold. And in the next day, and then you're seeing transaction skyrocketing to an enormous value. You'll be thinking, you need to check, right? So that's what monitoring helps you. So when you check, you might see whether these are normal transactions or these are just abnormal transactions. Maybe someone is trying to pull down your system. You understand? So you need to check. So that's what monitoring helps us to do. And it also helps us to check the number of time or the latency of completing the transaction. Latency of completing the transaction, because all of these aggregates to how we are able to build the system. Latency, you check the latency, see, okay, it's performing well. Okay, maybe we use Grafana, for example, and if there's any issue, it sends you a notification and sees that, okay, there's a server error going on here. Maybe you have your SLO and SLI. That's so let's say for those of us that don't know what it is, that's SLO is like software level objective, and SLI is like software level indicators. And then when you define all of this, you define your error. So SLO, they say you want to have like 99% uptime, and you want to have like an error budget of like 1%. So out of all the errors within a day, it must not pass 1%. And if it pass 1%, it can be notified. So when you have those monitoring tools in place, it notifies you and tells you there's a problem, you need to go and fix. So we consider monitoring very, 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 very well. Monitoring is part of it. All right, so let's move on. Okay, speed and delivery delivery, right? Speed and delivery excellence is very, very also important. So we're going to talking about this. So yeah, build with precision and ship faster, right? So let's say we are building of course we're building a fintech app, right? So this fintech app we are building, and then there's a problem with, the way you calculate money, because it's very, very important, because you don't want to make someone that transact 10 naira to be getting 1,000 naira. It's not possible. You don't want to do that. So precision is very, very key. Aside of okay, I'm going to give an example of a capital market solution that I was opportunity to build with my team. Every holder in the system, every shareholder in the system has money. They have shares, right? And these shares that they have, it has to be very, very, they are numbers, right? And then when you want to calculate, you want to give these shareholders 10%, or maybe you perform reconciliation, or you perform reconstruction, and you want to increase their unit by 2%, right? So if you want to increase their unit by 2%, you need to perform some mathematical calculation, right? And then while calculating, you need to be very careful of number. So we are very, very careful of number, because number is very critical. If 0.1 misses, and calculate 0.1 times 1 million transaction, that's a whole lot, right? You don't want that to happen. So precision has to be part of everything. Everything will be, precision is part of it. And even me myself, I'm very careful. Precision is part of it, right? So calculating numbers and calculating money and calculating what I will transact is very, very key. So we don't want to make sure that we are giving money, or just giving freebie, or giving free money to everybody, right? Without knowing, and you're losing money, you'll be thinking you're making revenue, but meanwhile you're making a loss, right? So precision is very, very part of it. And how do we make sure this happens? By making sure we test and test and test. You test that this, if I put 10 naira, I'm also getting 10 naira. So I remember I was writing a test, a unit test, and then so if you think about it, most developers will just be like, okay, I just need to write this test, let it pass, let it show green. That Sona will just mark that, oh, Sona showed that, oh, this is successful, green, right? How many of us have done that before? You just want to write a code that just show green, and I just want to be going. You don't show green, that show green, let me just be going. But I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to just write and mock data. You have to be careful. You have to be very careful when you are building fintech app. Mocking might be good in some cases and might be bad in some cases, because there are some places that you need to check very, very well. When we write unit tests, and most especially when I write unit tests, I make sure that I start from one entry point. I start from the request point. So if the request is coming from that point, and I propagate down to the other systems, right? I propagate down to other systems, right? So if it enters the REST, the gRPC or the REST API endpoint, it goes to the business layer logic, it goes to another layer, it goes to another layer. I make sure that I connect all of them, not just testing one part and then doing mocking, and the rest of them you are now mocking the rest of them. To make sure that the test pass. So we don't do that, right? Like, we make sure that we test from one single point and then propagate to that point, so that everything is tested and is connected. So if one thing breaks, it should show in the whole flow, right? So the example I was giving before, so I tried to test this system, right? I make sure that I tested everything from one point, and I make sure that the money I'm putting, it was a card transaction, I make sure that the money I'm putting in is what I'm getting in, and that really helps. So testing is very, very fantastic to make sure that precision is part of what you are building. That's it. So when when you're processing thousands of dollars of transaction every day, even the smallest error can make a big difference. Like I was saying, that's why we build with precision from the start, right? Using test-driven development, right? We define and test every transaction before writing the actual code, right? So we use test-driven design, right? So code. So every calculation is accurate to the last cent. To the last cent, because you don't want your team to be shouting, oh, we're losing money. There's a lot of, you're supposed to be giving them $1,000 dollar, and then you're giving them 2,000. How come? I'm very, very careful when it comes to money. we are very, very careful. As a team, we make sure that every cent that leaves the system is well calculated and is well precise, right? Which is very key. Okay, so so if you are still here, I think we're almost done. If you are still here, just let me have your emoji. I mean, I appreciate every one of us presence here. So let me have your emojis. All right. So sorry, I mean, I love emojis. It's just like as a way of knowing everybody's here. So let's continue, right? So awesome. So transaction rule before writing the actual code, every transaction is accurate to the last cent. Why continuous integration? Why with continuous integration rather? We automatically test every chain to catch mistake, right? Test everything. This way we keep every transaction reliable, secure, while still moving fast and delivering updates with confidence. Because when you write a code that is very fantastic and there's no issue, you have this confidence, like just go to prod. Nothing will happen. Just go to prod. I mean, let's go to prod. You understand? So when you write solid tests, just go to prod. So that's one of the things that gives us confidence to process this kind of large volume of transactions, right? So 18 is architectural consistency. Every release aligns with our established architectural standard, ensuring smooth scaling as the platform evolves, right? So growth and user experience is very important. Growth and user experience, because like I said, you want larger amount of transactions to be processed daily, maybe millions of transactions, thousands of transactions in monetary value. Customer experience is very important, and growth is also very important, because you want to, pull in customers, right? Pull in customers. There are ways you can do that, and which I'll be carrying us through, which you are able to do that, and drive customers to our system, right? All right, so move to this. I have multiple products that drive daily transaction volume. Now, I think I was talking about this during the start of the session. Like, we have multiple products. Like, don't just depend on there's some fintech today that they just do cards only. They don't do anything outside cards. They might be pulling in some funds, but they are still missing in some other areas that customers require services from. So if you're just doing card only, that's their own fintech product, card. But why I and my team member, we build a lot, both cards, both this, both that, both everything in one system. You can imagine the larger volume of transactions that we compare to someone just doing cards, right? So we have multiple products that drive daily transaction volume. So multiple products, very, very key. Well, if you're a startup, you're just starting, it's nice to just have, maybe it's fine, start with one product, but at the long run, you want to have many other products that will give you larger volume and more revenue, because everybody wants money, more revenue, right? So that's need to be considered. So I have multiple products that drive daily transaction. So I'll diversify ecosystem covering payments, merchant services, right, and wallets, and ensure steady high volume transactions. So we don't just serve like users only. We serve partners, serve merchants, serve everybody. That's where the transaction is coming from. We serve everybody. We serve both the customers, both the business, both the corporate. We serve everybody. Everybody is being served, and that's why transactions are coming in, and that's why we're able to achieve that. So we have multiple products, and we will make sure that we extend this to many people, not just one app and just user that is using it. Our partners will integrate with us. As our partners are integrating with us, they are also helping us to also grow by doing their own stuff, and they're doing their own thing, and we're also getting more transaction volume. So that's what we do actually. So that's that. Sorry. So let's continue. So give freebies and vouchers. This is very, very important. So let me ask this question. How many of us today, when we see a platform that gives us voucher or freebies to just onboard, how many of us will not even think twice to come into the system and start using it? You want to get your own money. How many of us can do that? How many of us have done that before? Just let me see emojis only. If you know that you have done, they are saying they're giving free giveaway. You enter the system and go and get your own. How many of us have done that before? Oh, is it just two people? I don't know. I don't want to believe so. I don't want to believe so. Like, you have freebies. Of course, I would like to go and collect my own share now. I'll collect my own share. Like, I want to have freebies also, right? I want to get money. So how do we do that? We give freebies and voucher, because this actually helps. So there's one of the products we did is called, let me just call it free money. So the free money system, so you just come a day, and then you enter the app, click a button, roll money, and then to give you money. For me, even me that I was part of the builder, I collected my own share too. I click button, I collected money. You understand? So if you're not using that kind of a system, I mean, and you have something that gives you money every day. Imagine you're collecting 100 every day or 2,005 every day. Won't you go and be using every day? That app will be your attendance sheet. I mean, you'll be going to the app, you'll be logging in. Okay, I want to collect my own share today. I mean, you understand? So if by doing that, it brings customers to us. It allows customers to stay and find a reason to use the app. It brings customers to us and allow the customer to see a reason of banking with us or using our app. This is very, very important because you just don't want to think about just collecting money from the customers. You need to think about giving also, because you have to give before you can collect it. It's very important in some cases, right? You have to give before you can collect. So I mean, it's very important. So we build a system that that allows customers to see a reason. Okay, they give me free bid. Okay, I'm just going to give an example. So I have this cousin of mine. If you are still here, please just let me see your emojis, please. I just want to know we are here because I'm just going to laugh anyway. So I have this cousin of mine. So this cousin of mine, like, I have never seen him sending me a link before at all. The guy just sent me a link like, these people that are giving free giveaway just on board, you collect money. I'm like, and I'm actually working in that company, right? And I saw the link, I was like, so this thing works. The guy has never sent me a link before. I mean, he was interested in getting the money. So what does that tell you? When we build something like that, something that gives users find a reason to use the app, it will promote your company. I mean, promote the business and promote the app, right? So everybody will not find a reason to use. So at least just on board. So I'll give an example. OP, I don't really use OP like that before. I don't use OP, but what made me start using OP was because they were giving free giveaway. I mean, who doesn't like a giveaway? I mean, everybody likes giveaway. So it gave me a reason to go to the app, and over time, let's say I opened the app like a year ago. After like 2 years, is it 2 years? After like a year plus, I went back to that app. Even though I've never transacted, I was only collecting free money. I went back to that app and I started using the app back. So building something like this, it gives you a longer term benefit of user coming back to the app and transacting, and which will help your volume of transaction. I mean, awesome, right? Awesome. All right, so let's continue. So like I said, we did give freebies and voucher. So we use vouchers and reward program to drive customer acquisition and increase repeat transactions. So we just don't want to have customers that just transact with us once in 1 month. We want to have customers that transact with, every time, right? So when we give them a reason to use the app, they always come back. Of course, they always come back. And that's has really helping us to drive larger volume of transactions to dates. All right, so moving to the next one, app bundling, one platform and many possibilities. Now, so this is very, very interesting, right? A lot of fintech today, maybe you have the business side of your company, you have one app for it. I want us to let's concentrate on this it's very important, which is part of the reason of how we have a larger volume of transactions. It's very, very important. This is very key. So you have business app, you have the personal banking app. How many apps do you have? 2 apps. You now have the foreign app. So you might think that what the foreign app means. Take for example, there's a bank in Nigeria today. They have many other banks. I mean, they are same parent company but have different banks, but they are still the owner of that bank in the other region, like some Africa region. Let's say Ghana, Angola, and a lot of them. They have many banks in other places, and each of those locations that they have different apps for them. Different apps. If I'm in Nigeria, I have my own app. If I'm in Ghana, I have different app. If you are in Togo, you have different app. You can imagine. So there's this connection between all these apps, right? And then we didn't just build a system that has just one app. I mean, just one app to do one specific thing, business only. Like, okay, today you have business. In number today, we have one app that does a lot of things, right? So now that one app connects everybody together. All the currencies you want to perform, one app. If you want to onboard, one app. You want to open business app, business account, one app. You want to open personal banking account, one app. Now, what the benefit of that one app that it gives you is it gives you more customer acquisition, to be very honest, because someone that doesn't see a reason of opening personal banking app before, but he was using business, like, oh, this personal banking, okay, I can create this personal banking where I can redeem my personal transaction or receiving my salary, not using other bank. Let me just be using my salary and using it as a salary app. It's very, very important. So we creating a one app system actually helps us to drive more volume of transaction. One app, which is when we have, maybe you want to have foreign bank accounts and a lot of them, you want to transact, one app. So you can do you can receive money from abroad from just one app. So you can see all of these accumulate with all those larger volume of transactions that is coming in, because like I said, multiple channels, not just one place, multiple channels, right? And then if you have one app, users will be, users can be using other services. You just see interaction with other services that will be bringing money in. So one app system actually helps us, right? So which is one of our, one of the things that really helps the system to process, a lot of transactions, because users will find reason to use other services we have, and which is very good. All right, so let's move on. So unlike on competitor, like I said, with multiple fragmented apps, like I discussed, we unify all the financial services in one single app. Awesome, right? Benefits: users can make payments, transfer, savings, bills from one place, improving retention and convenience. Just one app. You don't need to log out from the one app and go to another app. No, just from one app. This is very, very key. If I'm going to advise someone today, maybe the person starting a fintech company, I'm going to tell the person, well, based on my own experience, I don't know about other experiences, but one app system is good, although it has its own downside, maybe, but one app system is very, very good because it keeps your users in that single system. You don't need to want to open a foreign account. You have to go and create another app for foreign account. No, whether it's from your local region or from another region, one app actually helps. Very important. But I want us to take this as a keynote. As a key point. One app system really helps us in building a system that processes a lot of transactions like that. All right. So the next one will be I'm almost done. Continuous growth through feedback. Right. We make sure that customers can give us feedback on the platform is not doing well. This is not doing well. We need to update this. So having those kind of feedback from our customers really helps us also to make sure that they can always find a reason to always come back. Yeah, so we have continuous growth through customer feedback. So we listen to users and iterate quickly based on data and feedback, continuous improving the platform performance and user experience. All right, so that will be all for our session. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this session, let me see your emojis up. Thank you very much for listening. I think that will be all. And then now we are on questions and answers. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. So now I'm just going to take our question and answers for those of us that have. So you can put it in the chat box. It has been an amazing session, honestly. And you can put in chat box what we are able to learn. Pick up from my talk. Just pick it up from there, just to see if we are all here. Okay. Awesome. So you can turn on your mic and just ask me questions, and I'm ready to help. Okay, and Zaid, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Adeshina, for the wonderful session. It has been really, beneficial for me. Very informative. Awesome. So I am I'm particularly interested in the regional architecture thing, right? Because I'm interested in the challenges you guys faced when you are trying to build multi-regional kind of system, right? Because I feel like you started with a single region, then going to a region, different background, different like different ways of doing KYC, onboarding and a lot of things. So I'm interested in knowing the challenges you guys face. Did you have to build a different system entirely, or are you building the system for per region, right? So you have a system. So if you are in this region, this particular thing. So I'm interested in the challenges and then how you guys are doing like basically the architectural journey.
Awesome. I mean, that's a very fantastic question. I mean, thank you very much. I mean, I'm going to go in depth to how the regionalization works, right? So we have a system here. We have a system whereby it's just one. I mean, we started from one single place for now, and then we talked about scaling. So the first thing we did is we had like we had to be having like different services, one service for another region, one service for another region, right? That's what we started with. But at the long run, we saw a challenge with that because that would be more cost for us. Maybe if you're hosting on the cloud environment, it'd be more cost for you. And then you'll be spinning up many other services, many other databases and all. So what we did is we didn't just have, so we have to rethink about it and then have this regionalization in one service. So for all the services that maybe for all the traditional services we had before, maybe let's say we have some of our 5 services, these 5 services will just be as they are, like they'll just be as they are in one single place. Although, like I said in the first place, these 5 services were in different regions. So 5 copies of one service, only one region can use it. 5 copies of another service, only one region can use it. So when we saw that this part, if we continue like this, we're going to having it'll be difficult to be maintaining all of this. So it's very, very difficult. And what we did is we left all the 5 services alone. And what we did, we built one single service. I'll give an example. One single service of let's say a card system, right? One single service. And everybody that wants to onboard on that onboard as a user, and then you want to use that card service, right? You have to come through that single point of entry, and then the service itself will communicate to other services that be deployed to different regions. So before we could do that, I mean, there was a bit of challenge. We have to re-engineer the system. I mean, we did some re-engineering. We have to re-engineer and then restructure some code base so that we can make sure that the regions can be picked. So when you log in, we detect your region where you're coming from, because like I said, these guys are already in different regions, and the way we note them is by their country code. I mean, you're in Nigeria, you're in Canada, we know your country code from where you're coming from. Then once we get that your country code, we detect that, okay, this is where you're coming from. Then we talk to the service that is in that region, is in that different region, right? So that's sort of like bring our system to one single sort of truth. Before, like I said, since we have multiple copies everywhere, we can't just go and delete them, right? We write on them, like write on that system. We now start building one system that can talk to many regions that we have deployed to, and which actually help. And for the challenges we face, like I said, we have to re-engineer some code base, and then some code that we're working. I mean, you have to break it down and reassemble it back. And so once you come in with one region code that we know from your login, then we pick the service that needs to be talked to, and then and it saves a whole lot of stress, right? It saves a lot of stress of if there's a problem in for example, I was talking about the card service, talking about that if there's a problem with that, you need to go to that region where that service is deployed to and be checking errors. No, right? So one single region gives us that flexibility to see all the errors happening all across, right? And then, of course, the system can scale. If there's higher load, I mean, it can scale, so we scale across. So I hope that was able to answer your question, Zaid.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So
Awesome.
just a quick one, addition. So if you're adding another region now, like you have to deploy to that region.
Okay, so was it the existing region that we have? Or
no,
what?
not the existing one. No, this is a new region now, right?
Okay.
So do you have?
No. We are not. So it will still be one service. So you are still, no matter the region that you are in, we still check. I mean, once you log in, we're still going to check like this is the region that we have in your profile. We pick up that and we talk to the internal service that is in that specific local region. So we don't need to deploy again, right? Except you're talking about some specific services, because there are some cases that it might be due to compliance, or it might be due to some policies or law in the country that will require you, but not have your entire system in that region. That will require you to have at least some of the services in that region or in that country. For example, in Nigeria now, let's say the company A does not have service, all their infrastructure, most of our infrastructure running in Nigeria, and then they are saying, if you are operating in our country, we need to have you have some of the services in this space. You understand? So instead of us carrying all our services that are running in our system, we just pick some services that are very, very key to that region, put it there, and then users are onboarding, their data will be in that data center, right? So once they're coming and they're logging in, their region is already assigned to their account. Once you log in, we pick the region from there, from that single app, single service. I was giving an example, a card service system, like it comes inside there, the guy still remains one. It doesn't duplicate, we don't have that card service in multiple places. To just be in one single place. Maybe you deploy it to in your cloud, and then the service you have deployed in one particular region, let's say is in US, it should just be in US alone, right? But though you can have multiple copies, or you can have, how cloud engineering works, you can load balance requests to be in multiple regions, but that doesn't mean that the services are having different databases. They will still use one single database. All of them are using one single database, which actually saves us cost, right? So we don't spin up another one. We still use that single service, and then every request can come in from different regions. So that's what we do.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adeshina.
No problem. All right. So does anybody have another question? I think you have a question in the chat box. Okay, I'm just going to take this. So can you do it? Okay, slideshow. I've already done that. And yes, I really get it. Okay, planning is necessary before developing any software. Awesome. Yeah. Damilola, very, very important. Planning is very, very important. You need to plan. You need to really plan before you do. Okay, Damilola, you can go ahead.
Damilola. No, that was an error, sir. I wanted to respond to my name. So it was an error. I wanted to respond to my name.
Okay. No. That's fine. Damilola. That's fine. Yeah. So we have Adekule Mustafa. Okay, Adekule says zero trust architecture. Very important. If there's one thing, okay, this is what we need to do to be sure that we all got something from this session. Drop something in the chat box that you were able to hold on to till the end of this session. What were you able to hold on to? Mustafa said his own. I think I'll take for Mustafa. Zaid, I want you to drop. Damilola, I want you to drop. Everybody, I want you to drop. What were you able to hold on to in this session? As one key point you're able to hold on to. And whenever you're building a system, you will remember that. Like Adeshina said this, it's very, very important. What would that be? Okay, Damilola, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the privilege, sir. So I really enjoyed the session. One major key thing I learned was that really in any any scalable system you're about to build, most especially in fintech industry, security is one major thing that you have to really have in mind before diving into any fintech as well. You spend minutes on explaining how that security is very, very important.
Thank you for that. Yeah, very, very important. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome, Damilola. Awesome, Damilola. Yeah. There was a reason why I spent time. Yeah. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I'm hearing you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome, Damilola. Security is very, very important. Very, very important. You can imagine building a system where there's no issue, there's no fraud, there's nobody attacking you. Even if you want to attack, you'll be like, this system is so hard to break into. You understand? So security is very important. I started my career. I started my career as a penetration tester. I wanted to be a pen tester. I was doing this security stuff. Then I wanted to be a tester. So that gives me mindset of security has to be very key in every system you build, because you don't want to build a system whereby security is not key. It's not key. Anybody can break in and collect your money. A friend of mine was telling me they have a fintech and they were a startup, and then guess what? I think it was the CTO self that even did something, and then money left the system because the CTO has access to those things. Yes.
Yeah, even in non-fintech industries, it's really important.
Exactly. Very important. So you can imagine someone, because the CTO has access to this. So I mean, that was the reason why I said something. Zero trust architecture, very important. Even though if you like you are the CTO, you must not have access to the keys of what the data of our customer is, which Mustafa said here. Zero trust architecture.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's very, very important. So zero trust, and which is also part of my security flow. Zero trust. I don't trust anybody, even though you are the best engineer in the team. I will not let you know. I mean, how to get that. Okay, I'll give an example. I was working with the guy, and then so this guy. I mean, I saw what he did, and I was like, I was not actually the owner of that code base. I was just going through. I was just reviewing. I mean, part of my going beyond my work, actually, going beyond the description of my work. So I saw the code. I was like, I don't think I want this code to go to production with this. And I told him, change this thing to this, because you are putting a key here that even you yourself knows where the key is, or the DevOps engineer knows where the key is. I don't want anybody to know the key, even me or the DevOps. Nobody should know the key. Do this and do this, and he was able to do it, and which is very good. Zero trust architecture. No matter what you are building, you don't want the CEO to know the code, know the key. Nobody should know the key. Everybody should be. Nobody knows it, so which is very well. So security, and I love that. Damlala, thank you for reminding us. Security is very, very key. Very, very key. Awesome. So who has one of the key take home you have here? So Zaid said, okay, so let me go to Hafiz. For security in the app, does it happen at the end of the development or every phase of development? So if I get this right, so the security is inbuilt, right? Let's say the backend system has security being prioritized. I spoke about using some cloud tools, like I talk about HSM. I talk about encrypting your data. Those are actually part of the security standard we have in place. I mean, those standards are already there. So no matter what you continue to build, whether you're building a new service or you're building a new feature in the app, it's still leverage on the security architecture we have. So it's still part of it, actually. Yeah, that's Hafiz. I hope I was able to answer your question. Is Hafiz still here? Okay, Hafiz has left. Okay, yeah, he's still here. Hafiz, was I able to answer your question? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Hafiz. So Zaid Beta said regional architecture. Yeah, very, very awesome. So if you are thinking about having a startup in the future, consider this, right? You don't want to spend a lot of money hosting services everywhere. Cloud infrastructure eats a lot of money. Consumes a lot of money. I mean, I know some cloud infrastructure or cloud architecture would like to box you in in that system, so that you cannot go anywhere. You're just using all their services. Let's say you're using GCP or AWS, like you're using that, and you're using most of their services there. If you want to break out of that system and maybe have your own, you want to have your own, maybe you want to host locally or have hybrid infrastructure, it will be very hard because you've already keyed your system into that. So which is how do I put it, which might be costly. So when you think about that regional side of it, so you just have maybe the key, maybe database, just have a database that's it's already there, and then some services that you need to reuse. Not that you just be building, you just be taking the copy of the same services and be putting in, spinning up new instances or new database, which might be costly for you. So we thinking about regional architecture is very, very awesome, and I think everybody should consider that as a startup. So if you're looking at a startup, for example, and you don't want to spend much money, you can consider regional service. Consider it, so that when you want to scale to that region, you can just have, just spin 2 or 2 instances or database up, and we don't need to be spending much money. Which is very, very fine. Awesome. And I think that will be also. Does anyone have another question else again? So before I just wrap up the session. And anyone else? All right. So I think everybody. So with this, I hope I'll be able to share insightful session with all of us. And thank you for having me. Back to you, Mustafa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adeshina Lasisi, for that thoughtful presentation. So I really enjoy, and I really enjoyed it from my hand, and I suppose everyone also enjoyed it from their hand. So the good thing about this session is that it's recorded, and if you really enjoy it, you can share it with some of your colleagues. So take a note of our YouTube platform, which is GDG Abeokuta, and in in 2 to 3 days time would upload the session, and
Awesome.
it will be available for everybody to also take a look to also take a look at it, and you can always go back at some of the things that Adeshina discussed for us. So as you all know, this is the one for October, and we'll also be back in November with another insightful session on the things that are happening in the technology space. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Special thanks to our speaker for playing this wonderful presentation, and see you all next week. Bye for now.
Yeah, bye everyone.
Thank you for the session, sir.